Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us in our webinar series. We enjoy sharing from our years of experience and knowledge. Today's webinar is titled Make Better Decisions with Power BI. My aim is to share best practices so that you can improve project delivery and results. In this webinar, we're going to be expanding the capabilities of Power BI by incorporating other creative solutions that can serve as tools for your users to make better analysis of their business. To share a little bit about myself, I have worked with big data and power tools for over 7 years. I started in the field of healthcare informatics and I slowly made my way into consulting, which I really love. I hold a master's of IT administration and healthcare informatics, and I'm really excited to be presenting today. Today, we're going to be going over how to use existing visuals in non-customary ways. We're also going to be exploring additional options for visualizations. Our course objectives. We're going to do an overview of outside the box visualizations. But first, I would like to just go over Power BI and why this is important. First, what is business intelligence? Business intelligence is a set of concepts, methods, applications, and technologies which are utilized to transform raw data and unrelated sources into meaningful information. Power BI does have a set of visuals to help us achieve this. However, these visuals do have limitations, and in today's lesson, I am going to be helping you use these visuals in ways that maybe you haven't thought about before that can help you tell your business story better. Power BI functionality. With Power BI is really to connect a variety of data sources, clean and model data without affecting the underlying source, visualize or discover what's important and share it with everyone and anyone you want. This is just an overview of everything you can do with Power BI, which is fantastic. And now we're going to dive into our demo. This is parts of a project that I had used for another agency. For the first visualization, I would like to talk about the stacked bar chart. As you can see here, we have one in our example. I use this chart a lot as a way to show labels or a legend, if you will. For example, if I were using it as a legend, everything belonging to phase one, right here, um, would be this exact same color, this turquoise color throughout the page, just to let the user know that everything is that color. That way it's consistent throughout and it serves sort of as a legend. I think this is very nice because it tells you the count, for example. It doesn't just serve as a legend, it also tells you there's 2 projects that belong to this governing phase, for example. And in this, you can also add other details. You have the option to add percentages and much more to this. So you could also have a tooltip, and then you can also have under this category, under this number, you can either have just a number or add more information, which would be nice if you want to give like a quick snapshot or quick summary of what that phase entails. Additionally, you can also make it interact with your entire page. For example, if I click on this, as you can see, the entire page changes. And then the only part corresponding to it would be this one, what is highlighted. When using this type of filter option, you can either use a highlight method, or you can also use the method where it filters out the entire information. For the purpose of this dashboard, we only have it to be highlighted for the part that corresponds to it to be highlighted rather than just taken out. So it is really nice because if you're using it as a label or as a legend, then your entire page would change accordingly. We used to have a table here with all the projects and information for them. However, I had to hide them because we protect the information of our customers. I'm just using these visuals as examples. But if we had this table, you would see how it changes nicely every time that you click on this. Another area where I have this example of how we use the stock bar as a legend or soul of label, which is not a conventional way of using it, but I've seen it used a lot and we use it a lot like that here at Advisicon. For example, in this page, we used to have two tables, one table for issues and we had another table for risk. Again, I deleted those tables because they had a lot of information that we cannot share, but it would have worked as the same. For example, if you click on hi, this is how many, the entire page would change to issues that are high in category, and then the table would have filtered out to those 5 issues. So it is a nice visual to see the proportions and also to use as a filter. I love to use a stock bar as a sort of level legend slash filter, and it's just a creative way that you can use something like this that maybe it hasn't occurred to you, but we use it a lot over here. And I thought it would be nice to share that there are many visuals that can be used in many creative and unconventional ways. I'm going to move on to other visuals next. Now that we have gone over how to use this as a label sort of legend. Different tools that can be created from a matrix or like derived from a matrix. For example, this particular customer, this wasn't a Power BI report that they requested, but they had asked for a tool in projects that they could use to help them schedule. For example, they wanted in an aggregated way, they wanted to be able to select a date and see how many tasks they had, who was scheduled for that task, and then more information on that task like type, job number, task notes, and location. So what we did is we said, okay, we can do this in Power BI. So basically we can connect it because in projects, they're not all in the same table. So what we did is we connected the resource table, we connected the task table, and then we created this visual. So what this visual does is as we select a date, it would actually give the customer exactly what they need. I have kind of blurred out this column again because for a lot of this I cannot share real information. However, I did want to be able to show this example because it was a very creative way to give the customer what they wanted when they were first requesting it to be a tool within project, but we decided to couple it with Power BI so we could achieve the same thing. So basically, what we say is if basically what this filter is doing is saying if the task start date falls within the date that you're selecting, the start date and the finish date. So, the time, the duration of the task falls within the date that you selected, then the task will show in this table. It will tell you who is assigned to it. And then on task notes, it tells you because this is a daily dispatch schedule, it would actually give you information on that. That way they know who is going to be in the field that day, both the resource and the manager. And then on task notes is you need to bring a helmet, you need to bring materials, and then the location because they go to different locations. So this is a tool that they use a lot, and it's actually just a matrix that we thought about using for this purpose. This is just to show that sometimes they will ask for a tool within another program that can be easily accomplished in Power BI by using a measure, a filter, and a matrix. It's just a matter of getting creative and opening your mind to what it can be achieved. Another thing that I want to show is, for example, this is also a series of matrices and tables that are position to have a waterfall effect. However, it's just a table with a filter. For example, this table has a filter to only show stage zero artifacts. And then well, I actually go down and show you the details again because um, this is information that I'm not allowed to show. However, as I said before, I did want to compile these examples to be able to show of things that we have done in the past um, that I consider to be creative or using some sort of outside of the box thinking when it comes to finding solutions for Power BI. We do have a waterfall visual in Power BI. However, the customer wanted to have this waterfall effect, but they also wanted to include more information. So what we did is we just created a bunch of matrices, put a filter. For example, this is stage one, stage zero, stage two, three, four, and five. Put all the information that they had requested, and still created the waterfall effect that they were looking for. For example, another way to use a matrix is also you can also create a heat map. When created, again, I had to, it looks strange because I hit this column where we actually have the name of the projects and the tasks. However, what I wanted to show is you can create a availability heat map by creating a matrix with all the measures that you need and then using conditional formatting. Sometimes people will look at these tables, get intimidated, and they don't exactly realize what they are when in reality all that it is, it's a matrix with a lot of conditional formatting. When you see something that is like really, really colored and you're wondering, how was this made? Sometimes all there is, like I said, is a matrix table with a lot of conditional formatting. You just have to get really creative with the options that you have within Power BI. Sometimes it looks like if there were a lot of more options available than they are, because you see all of these dashboards with so many colors, so many figures, so many numbers, when in reality is just the same visual, only that it's like used in many different ways. So this is some examples for the matrix table. I'm going to move on and show other examples for other visuals that are actually a little bit more creative and non-conventional as we progress in this 30 minutes that we have together today. For this particular visual, it doesn't look impressive, but I am going to go in and explain. Um, we're actually going to talk about this series of cards, which look like cards, but they're not cards. So what had happened is we showed the customer this particular tab report, and we had a series of cards. So they were the actual card visual located here. So we had the card visual, which said the exact same thing that it says right now. Secure current business 10 with the count of how many you have within each category, right? But then they said they wanted it to be interactive. So cards are not interactive. You cannot have a card interact with the rest of your visual. Our VI just doesn't have that capability. And I know what you're thinking. We just got done talking about the stock bar. However, they did not want a stock bar. They did not want, for this particular page, they did not want the proportions, because a stock bar, if you have 10, so it's going to be bigger, and then you're going to have 5, which is going to be a smaller proportion. So they wanted all of this to be equal size, different colors, equal size, and interactive. Literally, all they wanted was to have an interactive card, but you cannot have an interactive card. So what we did is we got really creative. What we have here, this is actually a pie chart with the value, the category value in the middle, and we put a filter so that it only shows that category, and that way it's going to be a whole pie chart with that count and with the number in the middle. So we did that, and then now when you click on it, the entire it's wanting to move, it's actually doing something, it's just not doing it fast enough. Oh, there we go. The entire dashboard is going to filter with it. So what this is a text box that says secure current business. And then in the middle of this text box, we put a really small pie chart filtered to just that value. And we colored everything the exact same color, the exact same orange. And same with this and this and this. Of course, because I selected this, we don't show anything here. But this was actually something really creative that we thought about. There are always workarounds. Of course, this is not a customary solution. This is not conventional. It's also probably not an elegant way to achieve what the customer had requested. There are ways to build your own visuals using R and Python. However, this webinar is for users that are not so advanced in Power BI and that maybe don't even have the time. For example, for this particular project, we didn't have the time to actually go in and try to create our own visual using coding. Plus, I think a lot of people that want to learn Power BI get really discouraged when they hear the word coding or when they hear the word customized visuals. Sometimes you can customize your own, like I did right here. We customize our own visuals, and the thing is that it works. And then if you don't want it to move, I know you're thinking too that it might move. For example, it might come out of place and then now you have your pie chart here and you have your text box in another place. It doesn't have to be that way. If you group them, you can group them as one. So you can have two or three visuals that you can group as one, and that would prevent from the layering to move separately, which is something that I do when I combine two visuals for them to work together, like I did on this one. And then, like I said, it's another creative way to show this, to make it interactive when cards are not interactive. In this same page, we also have other visuals that are like visual over visual in order to accomplish the same thing. For example, here where it says health index, this is a figure that we created, and this right here actually is, so now this is the opposite. This is not interactive, and this right here is actually a card. So it is a card on top of the figure that we wanted, because cards you cannot really change the shape of the card. It's always going to be a square. But what can you do? You can add a very small card to just add the number that you need. So you have the ability to do the calculation. So you add a calculation that you need and you add it on top of the figure or image that you actually want to display. Again, it's those are creative ways to customize your dashboard to look exactly the way that you want it to look, even if Power BI does not give you the option to A, change the size of your cards, and B, make them interactive. I would like to show how to add a legend to something that does not have a legend. For example, a matrix table does not give you the option to show a legend. Yes, you can have icons that demonstrate a status, etc. However, it does not give you the option to have a legend the way that we have here. And being able to add a legend that is automatic, that you don't have to manually change every time in a text box, is especially important if you are going to be having data that is not predictable, and also when there is a lot of data that you cannot necessarily compile on your own. So what we did here is, this is actually a text box because no data will never be changing. It's always no data. But what this is, and it's like, and another thing is that this is also interactive. This legend is interactive. So if you just want to approve, then you click approve, then it gives you approve. It is actually a pie chart. So it is a pie chart that we squished, so that we would only just have the legend. So again, these are creative ways in which you can add abilities to Power BI that it doesn't just gives you. Um, so it's just a nice trick and an unconventional way to add a legend to your matrix. And I find myself using this kind of legend a lot, especially when I want to use the same legend for various visuals. It's another way that I also use legends. Again, we could do it the way that I show you in the beginning by using the stock chart, but because I wanted to have the actual circle as I have in the icon and the indicators, then I figured that it would be better to use the legend of a visual that does give me a legend by hiding the visual. And then because it is a visual, then you can make it interactive as well. And then it can interact with your entire dashboard. And I do hope this is helpful. These are just like tricks and ways to make Power BI work for you when it doesn't really want to work for you. Option that I find that customers really like when they're playing with Power BI is the what if parameter option. This option allows a customer to enter a customized value or a value within a range to see what it would look like if I have loss in profit, or if I add X number of profit, or if it's just pretty important for customers to be able to do that at times. As I'm showing here, you can see how it changes. So we have a graph with what it is, the actuals, and then we have a graph with what it would be if we added any number within this range. In order to accomplish this, you simply create your parameter. And then when you create a parameter, you can put it in a filter, and then by the name of that parameter, you can add it in any measure and add that measure to any visual. For example, my measure is cost plus whatever the parameter is. So it serves as a variable that you can input any value into. And I find this to be perhaps it's not as creative for the person that is doing the dashboard, but it allows the user to be very creative. And I found that this tool really helps users make better decisions when it comes to using their dashboard and to manipulating their data within Power BI. Additionally, more tools that are available to use can be found in the App Store. However, they do have some limitations, but I do advise for you to really go and explore all of the different tools that you have in there. Something that I have really found myself using lately, besides all of the tools that I have shown you in this video, is the use of Visio. So you can actually incorporate Visio into Power BI. For example, you can create any type of flow chart. Okay, it takes a little bit to come up. For example, you can build any type of flow chart, and then it would not only hook up to your fields in Power BI, but it would also interact with the rest of your dashboards, which is another creative solution to give your customer what they want, because Power BI doesn't really give you the option to build a lot of flow charts. It's more of a statistical type of tool. um, but if you want to incorporate flowcharts and other things into your dashboard using Visio, sometimes it's a very good way to make this happen. This concludes what I had prepared for today. Thank you so much for coming to this webinar. I really hope this was useful for you and you were able to see how to use Power BI in a very creative way and to make your dashboards amazing for you. Thank you so much and have a great day, month, or week, depending on when you see this. Thank you. Bye bye. And see you next time.